This is Randi Altman's Perspective. For more than 20 years, Randi Altman has been covering our industry, and now she's the editor-in-chief of her own website called postperspective.com. And it's always wonderful each week to get Randi's perspective on the news. Hello, Randi, welcome.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
I'm talking to you. It's a week before Thanksgiving. How can I not feel great? Randi, I want to do something different this week. We've talked a lot about what the breaking news is, but I want you to take a step back. You've interviewed hundreds of editors over the years. What traits make for a successful editor?
A variety of them. I would say what's most important is just being able to get along with people in a very confined space. I mean, that's important. Also, not being afraid to express your opinion, not in an aggressive way, but just sort of feel confident enough to speak up and say, hey, what about trying it this way, or what about doing it that way? I think that the client respects that. That's part of the job, but some editors are more concerned that they might offend, so they'll keep quiet. But from the editors that I've spoken to, the ones that have been successful and the ones that keep in touch with past clients and employers the most are the ones who are able to sort of express an opinion, and that's been very important. I also think being part therapist is also important. You never want to tell the client that, but I think with any aspect of this industry, part therapist is an important talent to have.
Well, I was just thinking, you've listed three things. You've listed people skills, the ability to work with people in small groups in an enclosed, dark room for weeks at a time. Yeah. You've talked about keeping in touch. You've talked about being a good listener and expressing your opinions. You haven't mentioned technology once. It sounds to me like the technology part is not the biggest part of being a successful editor.
Well, it's important, but let's not forget there are a lot of people out there that can now afford the editing tools that are being used in editing suites. So people have the skills, and that's important. But if you have the skill and not the personality or the ability to be flexible and work in those dark rooms, then I think you're going to find less success. I think it's a combination of both, which is very important. I also, in terms of technology, more and more of these editors are being asked to do more and more. So they need to know After Effects. They need to start learning Resolve. And they need to expand their toolbox creatively. But I also think personality-wise, I think if you're a shy person, and I've met many editors who are, you have to go out of your comfort zone and participate.
So what advice would you give to an editor that's starting out? What should they practice on? Should they develop their tech skills? And if they need to develop people skills, how do they do that?
I think it's just putting yourself in that position. I know I'm thinking of one specific editor who is a quiet person who does not like to speak up. And I remember him having some trouble at the very beginning because he was overwhelmed, didn't know how to handle a sort of loud and bossy client standing behind his shoulder. So he clammed up and he did not offer his opinion. And I think that hurt him. And just from doing it over and over again, he learned that he needed to change in order to get jobs and in order to get work. And he's pretty successful right now.
You know, it's interesting. I've heard it said that an editor's job is 50% people skills, 25% technical skills, and 25% creative skills. Would you agree with that mix?
I would.
Well, what I want to do now is, this is like the first part of a two-part conversation, because I want to bring you back next week and do the same kind of analysis of what it takes to be a successful director, which is another group of people that you've spent a lot of time interviewing. Randi Altman is the editor-in-chief of postperspective.com. Randi, as always, a delight chatting with you. You take care.
Thanks, Larry.
To read more from Randi Altman, visit postperspective.com.